distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Joel Onwaba Thomas. I represent the good people of Delta South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I move that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 8th of July, 2025 are a true reflection of the proceedings of that day. I so move. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Ijo Chief Sode Agadaga, can you second the motion?
Mr. President, Benson Sunday Agadaga is my name. I speak for the good people of Bayelsa East, Senatorial District of Bayelsa State. I rise, Mr. President and dear colleagues, to second the motion ably moved by distinguished Senator Joel Thompson, that the votes and proceedings be adopted. I so second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of yesterday is hereby adopted by this August Senate. Announcement. Office of the Clerk of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Courtesy visit on the President of the Senate by the organizers of the first edition of the African Invitational Swimming Championship. The organizers of the above swimming championship will be paying a courtesy visit on the President and the leadership of the Senate. This first edition of the contest will attract participation from 2 African countries with over 5,000 athletes taking part. During the visit, the President of the Senate will be appointed as the African Project Ambassador towards the successful hosting of the event. The championship trophy will also be presented to the President of the Senate. The courtesy visit will hold as follows. Date, Wednesday, 9th July 2025. Venue, Conference Room 301, New Building. Time, 4 p.m. The chairman and members of the Senate Committee on Sports Development and other distinguished senators are invited to join the President of the Senate to receive the guests. Please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. Clerk of the Senate. Office of the Clerk of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Courtesy visit by a delegation from the Embassy of the Kingdom of Morocco on the President of the Senate. A delegation from the Embassy of the Kingdom of Morocco will be paying a courtesy visit on the President and leadership of the Senate. The delegation will be led by Ambassador of the Kingdom of Morocco, Mr. Moha Tagma. It will hold as follows. Date, Wednesday, 9 July 2025. Venue, Office of the President of the Senate, New Building. Time, 3 p.m. The chairman and members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs and indeed other distinguished senators are invited to join the President of the Senate in receiving the guests. Please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. Clerk of the Senate. Signed, Clerk of the Senate. I wish to acknowledge the presence of members of Student Union, Government, House of Parliament, University of Jos Plateau State, who are here in our gallery to observe our proceedings of today. You are welcome. Great Nigerian students, please sit down. Any petition? No. Petition first. No petition.
Point of order.
Leader of the
Excellency.
Senate. Oh, point of order.
Point of order, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, my colleagues. I come under Order 41 and 51. The title of my order is Announcement of the Passing of a former colleague, Senator Caleb Zagi. With the kind permission of Mr. President and my colleagues, I seek to move this motion, sir.
Well, I think you came under the same order yesterday. Oh.
Yes, sir. No, under announcement yesterday, sir.
Oh, okay. You are coming under
41 and 51.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You may, well, distinguished senators, he approached the leadership yesterday in respect of the demise of one of our former colleagues from Kaduna State, which he had just mentioned. Is it the view that we take on the motion to pay our last respect to our former colleague? Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. You may continue.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and my colleagues. Once again, Sunday Marshall Katum. I represent the people of Kaduna South Senatorial District. And like I stated, the motion is on the demise of Senator Caleb Zagi, who was a member of this hallowed chamber from 2007 to 2011. I move. The Senate notes with deep sorrow the death of our distinguished colleague, Senator Caleb Zagi, who passed away on the 25th of June, 2025, after a brief illness. Senate further notes that until his passing, the late senator represented the good people of Kaduna South Senatorial District of Kaduna State in the Red Chamber and served diligently on various committees, including being vice chairman, Senate Committee on Science and Technology, and Public Accounts Committee, to mention two. The Senate recognizes the immense contributions of the late senator to the legislative development of our nation, his commitment to democratic ideals, and his dedication to the well-being of the Nigerian people. He weighed in on national governance and institutional coordination, notably during President Yar'Adua's medical leave. The Senate recalls with admiration the senator's role in debates, oversight functions, and constituency outreach, all of which left a legacy of service, integrity, and patriotism. Senate observes that the death of Senator Zagi is a monumental loss, not only to this hallowed chamber, but also to the entire nation and the people of Kaduna South Senatorial District, whom he represented with honor. Aware that the family has written to notify the Senate President of his death, as well as the funeral arrangements as follows. A service of songs slated for Wednesday, 9 July 2025 at 4:30 a.m., venue Equa Church, Wuse 2, Abuja. B, funeral service slated for Wednesday, the 16th of July 2025, Equa Church, Kagorko, Kaduna State. The Senate accordingly resolves to observe a 1 minute of silence in honor of the departed colleague. 2, send a high-powered delegation to condole with the family of our departed colleagues. 3, open a register for senators to pay their tributes and or publish tributes in the national dailies in recognition of his meritorious service. And 4, offer assistance/support to the deceased family as deemed appropriate. May the soul of our Senator Caleb Zagi rest in perfect peace. I so move, Mr. President.
Okay, can we, Senator Abari, since you serve together with him, can you just second the motion and then we'll go to the prayers?
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain in Abaribe, representing Abia South. Caleb is our colleague. We came in here at the same time in 2007. Of course, at that time, my party was in government, let me put it that way, and I used to sit over there. And Caleb used to sit across the aisle from me. Nice
quiet, unassuming, and very dedicated gentleman. He was a very great person. And one of those Nigerians that they don't make noise, but they get things done. I had a very personal interaction with him. And sometime in 2008, when I was returning home and was attacked by kidnappers on the way, and several people were killed. Among them, a policeman that was with me that came from Caleb's own village. And when we sent emissaries to the families, there was so much threat because they didn't understand the circumstances in which that policeman lost his life. And so Caleb was the person that I approached, and he stepped in and took some of our family members to attend the funeral of that policeman. So he has always been a very great friend. I was very, I would say, sad when he approached me and said he was actually very sick and he was seeking for contributions from us. And we had to make personal contributions to him. Of course, that is one of the things that most people in Nigeria don't know about the life of a member of the legislature. There's an assumption that too much money is spent here or there on behalf of people. But of course, whatever you see, the day you walk out of this chamber is the day that this chamber also does not extend any benefits to you. Caleb fell into that category, and I'm very, very sorry that eventually that sickness cost him his life. A very nice and proper businessman, legislator, and a supporter of the Kaduna South people. So I wish the family my deepest condolences and the condolences of this chamber. And because he's somebody who reached across divides from the north to the south, from Christian to Muslim to all that, we can only ask God to bless his beautiful soul and give him eternal rest.
Thank you.
I so second.
Thank you. Now let's go to the prayers. Prayer 1. Observe a minute's silence in honor of the departed colleague. 2. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Send a high-power delegation to condole with the family of our departed colleague. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Open your register, for senators to pay their tributes or for publish tributes in the national dailies in recognition of his meritorious service. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Offer assistance or support to the deceased family as deemed appropriate. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Can we now stand up to observe a minute's silence in honor of our departed colleague, please? May the soul of our former colleague, Senator Caleb Zagi, who passed away on the 21st June 2025 after a brief illness, rest in perfect peace. Senator Isa Jibrin.
Okay. Your Excellency, Mr. President, I wish to come under Order 42. And if it pleases you, may I proceed to read? Okay. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Your Excellency, I wish to come under this personal explanation to formally inform the Senate of a major achievement, okay, by Nigeria Customs Services at the international arena. And it has to do with the appointment of Nigeria as the chairperson of the World Customs Organization Council.
The chairman Senate Committee on Customs approached me this morning to request that he should be given the chance to make personal explanation respect to the recognition given to Nigeria through the Controller General of Custom. It's something that has not happened for quite a while, for a long time. And he requested that you come through personal explanation to state that so that Nigerians will know the honor that has been bestowed on the CG and indeed the entire country, so that even though there will not be debate, is it a view that, well, I don't need to put the question. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. The historic achievement of Nigeria's election as chairperson of the World Customs Organization Council for the 2025-26 financial year is an unprecedented accomplishment by Comptroller General Bashir Adewale Adeniyi. It represents the culmination of extensive reforms within the Nigeria Customs Service that have gained international recognition. These transformative initiatives, spanning customs modernization, digital integration, trade facilitation, and revenue optimization, enhanced our national customs operations, as well as earned commendation from global leaders, including Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Director General of the World Trade Organization, who specifically acknowledged Nigeria's revolutionary strides in customs administration during the recent WCO Council session. The significance of this appointment cannot be overstated, as the chairperson of the WCO Council assumes critical responsibilities, including conducting policy commission and council sessions, providing strategic guidance and advice to the Secretary General, and offering leadership and representation to the 106 member countries of the organization. This position places Nigeria at the epicenter of global trade facilitation policies, customs standards development, and international border security protocols that govern trillions of dollars in global commerce annually. The role empowers Nigeria to influence decisions that directly impact international trade flows, revenue collection methodologies, and security frameworks that affect nations worldwide. As a symbol of this historic achievement, Nigeria's flag now flies proudly at the World Customs Organization headquarters in Brussels, representing our nation's leadership of the global customs community and demonstrating Nigeria's emergence as a respected voice in international economic governance. This recognition elevates our country's diplomatic profile and positions Nigeria as a key player in shaping the future of international trade facilitation, customs modernization, and cross-border commerce regulation. This remarkable achievement aligns perfectly with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's leadership thrust in economic diversification, regional integration, and positioning Nigeria as a continental leader in African economic affairs. The WCO chairpersonship provides an exceptional platform to advance the President's agenda of enhancing Nigeria's competitiveness in international trade, attracting foreign direct investment, and showing our capacity for leadership in multilateral institutions. It reinforces the administration's commitment to good governance, institutional excellence, and Nigeria's role as a driving force in continental and global economic development. This achievement represents both individual recognition and Nigeria's institutional capacity, as well as our commitment to international best practices and our readiness to contribute meaningfully to global economic governance. It is worthy to celebrate this historic milestone and support continued investments in our customs infrastructure and human capacity development that will enable Nigeria to maximize the benefits of this prestigious leadership position for our nation's economic transformation and continental integration objectives. Thank you very much, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues. That's my submission.
Well, this is personal explanation, which is not subject to debate. But I think it's a big achievement for our country and also achievement for this administration because it shows the respect that the world community has in respect of our current government, that the government is doing well. That's why I've decided to even look at Nigeria to pick the headship of this esteemed organization to come from Nigeria. So it clearly shows that Mr. President is doing very well to position Nigeria in the best manner possible at the international arena. It's a very good testimony. If you are not respected, if the country is not respected economically and in every aspect, this honor will not be bestowed on the Comptroller General of Nigeria. And of course, it also shows that Comptroller General is a respected person in the international arena, that the international community is watching what our custom here is doing through the leadership of the current CG, and that the CG is doing very well. If it's not doing very well, the entire world will not give their note, give his note for the Comptroller General to head this very, very important organization, WCO. So it shows that the custom CG is doing very well, and we know he's doing very well. So he should continue what he's doing to position the Nigerian custom in order to have that body doing its best towards the economic enhancement of our nation. So please extend our regards, the same regard to the CG, and we urge him to continue what he's doing to position the police, customs, so that it will impact more positively towards the advancement of our economy. Additional information.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, the additional information I wanted to give is that World Custom Corporation comprised of over 156 countries, including developed and non-developed countries. So for the Comptroller General to get that position, it means that Nigeria is highly respected in that organization. And the last time a Nigerian held that position was in 1985-86, when Alhaji Abubakar Musa was the director by then, not Comptroller General. And he held it just for about 6 months. So it is a clear testimony to the fact that Nigeria Customs Service is doing very well. And I'm happy the mover of the motion has made it very clear that a lot of changes are happening in customs, trade facilitation, anti-suppression of smuggling, and what have you. So I just felt that I should give this information. And not only that, Mr. President, I think for the last 5 years, all the targets given by the government to customs service have been surpassed. This means that the customs is doing very well. Not every government agency do meet its revenue target, but customs has surpassed it by more than 10 to 20%. I'm a member of the appropriation committee and also a member of the finance committee. And we do compare notes whenever we are discussing with government-owned agencies. And the custom is the only organization that meets its target. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
And you've forgotten to say that you were a former custom officer. So we have found from the law. No, it's not subject to debate. It's not subject to debate. He came under order 42, unfortunately. Because why I allow him to speak, is because he was a custom officer, a respected custom officer. So I thought he's an authority. I thought he's going to disprove what I said, but he strengthened what I said. So extend our regards to him, congratulate him that we are congratulating him, and that he should continue on what he's doing in getting more revenue to the coffers of the government, thereby enhancing the economic development of our nation. We are with him and tell him to continue on that trajectory. Thank you very much. Senator Simon Bakulalong.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, Simon Lalong, representing the people of Plateau South. Mr. President, this point of order is also under the popular order 41 and 52, which I had already informed Mr. President, and is to announce to the Senate. That is if I'm permitted.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Thank you.
You know, we lost one of our wives, yes. The wife of our colleague, Senator the wife of Senator Dike Plan,
yes.
Who demise was announced some days back, I think 2 days ago. So he said he intends to come under order 42 to announce her passing away. So please, can you do that? You are allowed to do that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Under personal explanation.
Well, with the indulgence of the Senate, I wish to put on notice and announce with a heavy heart the demise of the wife of one of us, distinguished Senator Dike Plan. And her name is Professor Janet Puyi Plan, the wife of distinguished Senator Plan. Professor Janet Plan was sick for a very long time. She gave up on the 6th of June 2025 at the Jos University Teaching Hospital. As I'm speaking now, the corpse is still at the mortuary, waiting for the burial arrangement. I must say, Mr. President, that the entire Plateau State is in a mourning mood, and so also the Senate, because his wife is the wife of one of us. So this notice is to inform the distinguished senators that burial arrangements are in progress, not yet announced, but also to appeal to the Senate to have a minute silence for this woman. She was a professor of repute, serving at the University of Jos, lecturing for so many periods. And as the senator will always say, the clerk, the Plan will say, she had been his partner as a councillor, his partner as a member of the House of Assembly, partner as commissioner, now partner as a senator. May our gentle soul rest in peace. So I so move.
Is it the view of the Senate that we should pay her the respect of observing a minute silence? Those in favor, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Can we stand to observe 1 minute silence? May the soul of the wife of one of our colleagues, Senator Dike Plan, who died 2 days ago, rest in perfect peace. The leader.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Olajide Ipinshagba on the Petroleum Industry Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 880. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Petroleum Industry Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 880, first reading.
Petroleum Industry Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 880, first reading. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the second business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Barao Jibril on the Armed Forces Comfort Fund Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 882. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Armed Forces Comfort Fund Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 882, first reading.
Armed Forces Comfort Fund Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 882, first reading. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Abiro Mikhail Adetokunbo, the Baba Adini,
Yes.
on the Marriage Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 883. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Marriage Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 883, first reading.
Marriage Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 883, first reading. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Abdullahi Yahaya Abubakar on the Federal University of Technical Education, Kamba, Kebbi State, Establishment Bill 2025, SB 884. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Universities of Technical Education, Kamba, Kebbi State Establishment Bill 2025, SB 884, first reading.
Federal University of Technical Education, Kamba, Kebbi State, Establishment Bill 2025, SB 884, first reading. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Osita Ngwu on the Federal University of Geological Sciences, Obiola, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2025, SB 885. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal University of Geological Sciences, Obinola, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2025, SB 885, first reading.
Federal University of Geological Sciences, Obinola, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2025, SB 885, first reading. The Leader of the Senate. First reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. The sixth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of Her Excellency Senator Banigo Ipalibo Hari on the National Health Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 886. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Health Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 886, first reading.
National Health Act Amendment Bill 2025, SB 886, first reading taken. Before we go to the seventh order of the day, let me make a quick announcement so that just a quick one. Is in respect to the postponed Northwest Zonal public hearing of the Senate Committee of the Review of 99 Constitution, is to announce that it has been rescheduled to hold on Friday 18th and Saturday 19th July 2025 in Kano State. Members of the committee and distinguished senators from the zone and members of the public are invited and enjoined to encourage their constituents. And everyone is invited to come forward to make inputs on that day on the advertised bill's proposal, or to submit any memorandum that one so wishes on that day. So everyone is invited. Announcement. Signed, Senator Barrow Jibrin, Deputy President of the Senate. Thank you very much. Leader of Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the seventh business of the day is the presentation of a report of the Committee on Power on the frequent collapse of the national grid and other related issues affecting the optimal performance of the electricity sector. Mr. President, you may wish to invite His Excellency, most distinguished Senator Abaribe Enyinaya, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Distinguished Senator and His Excellency Abaribe Harcourt, the floor is yielded to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Enyinaya Abaribe, representing Abia South. I move that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Power on the frequent collapse of the national grid and other related issues affecting the optimal performance of the electricity sector. I so move.
Senator Isa, you have it too much. You You just raise order for. Do you still recognize you to speak? Okay. Senator Isa Jibrin.
Okay, Your Excellency, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to second the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Committee on Power on the frequent collapse of the national grid and other related issues affecting the optimal performance of the electricity sector. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Senator Ababi may proceed. The leader of the Senate. Just to receive only. No consideration until another date.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Colleges of Education Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 149. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 17th October 2023. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Abdullahi Yahya Abubakar to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Former leader, distinguished Senator Abdullahi, the floor is yielded to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I'm delighted to lead this debate on the general principles of the bill for an act to amend the Federal Colleges of Education Act to establish the Federal College of Education, a law. This bill was read for the first time in this session of the Senate on Tuesday, 17th October 2023. As a former teacher with pedagogic experience at all levels of education in this country, education to me is a sector that deserves deep and special attention because of its centrality in helping to unlock human potentials and equip citizens with the necessary skills to participate in nation building and self-actualization. It is in this wise, Mr. President, that I want to commend the present administration under the leadership of our amiable President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for the approvals it had been granting since the beginning of this session of the Senate to the setting up of various tertiary education institutions in the country. In addition, the initiative of setting up a student loans institution is also a movement that I regard to be in the right direction. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Kebbi State particularly is in dire need of rebuilding its human capital capacities, especially from the basic education level. This college, when established, will further broaden government's effort in providing a modern institution that will deliver quality teacher education at the grassroots where it matters most. Aside from providing full-time courses of teaching, instruction, and training of teachers in the sciences, commerce, arts, applied and social sciences, as well as management and humanities, this college will also engage in research, innovation, and development in the field of education, where new ideas to develop and drive the sector and provide teaching manpower for the state and the nation will be incubated. The key objectives of the college would be: one, to develop and apply first-class academic system for teaching and research in the field of education. Train, develop, and quality right caliber of teachers to help bridge existing gaps in the schools and colleges around the country. Engage in such other fields of applied learning that will serve the manpower needs of Kebbi State and the nation at large. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let me also stress the fact that the location of this college in Ilo, which is at the far northwestern corner of Nigeria, neighboring both Niger Republic and Benin Republic, it is something that is vital for creating a sense of belonging to all sects and nooks and crannies of this country. What this means is that the place the college is being located is crying. It's one area that does not have one single federal establishment. After we have so many, about 65 years of the nation's independence, it's at the far corner of the nation, bordering both Benin Republic and Niger Republic. And people there have been yearning to be considered as part and parcel of this great country. Establishing this college there, therefore, will be one way of restoring and re-strengthening the citizens' sense of belonging to this country. Beyond this, respected colleagues, setting the college there will also end the dependency of the parents in sending their children to train in the neighboring countries. And the national security and intelligence implication of this should not be lost on us. Because if our children go to colleges in foreign countries, they will fall under certain kinds of influences and certain kinds of curricula, which may not be amenable for our national human development. The importance of intervening at this level can better be seen in the context of the broader vision of government as contained in some specific objectives of the country's national policy on education, namely that the policy intent and content of primary basic education had been designed to ensure effective inculcation of enduring literacy and numeracy skills. We also more pointedly to lay a sound basis for scientific and reflective thinking, as well as give citizenship education as a basis for effective participation in and contribution to the life of our society in general. This bill therefore underlines the legislative effort at realizing the importance of these objectives by seeking to address the issue of accessibility to quality teacher education for our children. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, as leaders, we are in a privileged position to better understand and appreciate the value of quality education as a critical tool for national socio-economic growth. This administration has shown sufficient determination to commit adequate funds to these critical sectors of the economy, including education. It is therefore our responsibility as the representative of the people to ensure that we help to direct such funds and such initiatives to serve the most serious needs of the people, such as education, particularly in those areas that are underserved by the educational institutions in the state, which this location in my constituency, actually represents. Attached in the financial compendium that is required under Order 766, subsection 3 of the Standing Rules of the Senate of the of Nigeria. So, my respected colleagues, Mr. President, I urge you to support the prompt passage of this bill for the second reading, so that we can to help make a difference regarding the educational sector in Kebbi State, Nigeria, and particularly in the least served areas of this great nation. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you. We are very familiar with bills like these, bills that are towards the enhancement of our educational system. I don't think we need much debate, but we shall allow Senator Alero, who is also from Kebbi State, to bear his mind, whether it is for 1 minute or so, to strengthen the position canvassed by the sponsor of the bill. And probably Ojikalo also wants to, because he's a chief, is a traditional title holder.
Yes.
In that domain. So maybe you can see one or two.
Kebbi.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
And also to Konongondu. Yes. Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Let me start by commending my colleague, Senator Abdullahi, for bringing this bill. I stand to second and support the establishment of College of Education Technical, ILO, in Kebbi State. Mr. President, let me go down the memory lane to say that this bill was even passed in the Ninth Senate. Unfortunately, it could not be assented by the then President, Muhammadu Buhari. We made a lot of effort to ensure that it was assented. But due to some technicalities, it couldn't be signed. As said by the mover of this bill, the area where this educational institution is to be located is grossly underserved, both by the state and also by the federal government. There is no tertiary institution in that area, either owned by the state or established by the federal government. And students have to travel 400 to 500 kilometers to get trained as teachers. And you know, if we are serious in improving the educational sector in this country, you should not go beyond 200 kilometers to get trained as a primary school teacher, because primary and basic education is the foundation of any education in any country, and we should not ignore that fact. Establishing this institution will certainly boost the educational development of Kebbi State and even beyond. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the area where this institution is to be sited happens to have a common border with both Niger and the Republic of Benin. In fact, it is the only state where we have two countries bordering one local government. So it will serve both international students and also Nigerian students. And you know, border development is one of the major objectives of the federal government. We even have a border commission. Ordinarily, this kind of institution is supposed to be sponsored by the Border Development Commission if they are properly funded. And since it is not, the federal government should come and do the needful. I support the second reading of this bill, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same. And with this, I hope the Kebbi and Kebbi will be allowed to also add its weight to the second reading of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Kebbi and Kebbi just sent words to me that you've captured all you wanted to say. That you've said all, even went beyond what you wanted to say. So he said is okay with that. So is there any person against the bill? Okay, those in favor that the bill be now read the second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Federal Colleges of Education Act to establish the Federal College of Education ILO and for related matters 2025, second reading.
A bill for the act to amend the Federal Colleges of Education Act to establish the Federal College of Education ILO and for related matters 2025, second reading taken. The bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institution and Third Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Let me commend Senator Abdullahi Yahya for bringing forward this bill because establishing this institution, as said by Senator Alero, will help to develop the educational fortune of that area. Even consider the fact that it's a local government, the location is a local government that is at the border of our nation, where you have two countries sharing borders with that local government. It will help to develop the area and also allow for the human capital development of that area, so that they will help to help him to build Kebbi State and the nation in general. We hope that the bill will be given an expeditious passage and also have the blessing to be assented to by Mr. President. Congratulations in advance. The Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day. Thank you. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is the second reading of the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2025 SP 862. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 25th June 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite His Excellency, most distinguished Senator Abaribe Enyinaya Harcourt to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Senator Enyinaya Abaribe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I still remain in Abaribe, representing Abia South and chairman of the Committee on Power. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the general principles of the Electricity Act Amendment Bill 2025, which was read for the first time on Wednesday, 25th June 2025. Objectives. The primary objective of this bill is to address the critical issues that have emerged in the implementation of the Electricity Act, EA, in 2023. Specifically, the bill seeks to include provisions that will, one, enhance policy and regulatory coordination between national and subnational governments to avoid legal disputes and inconsistencies. You will recall, Mr. President, that the Electricity Act 2023 now gives states, which are subnationals, the right to set up, distribute, transmit, and generate electricity. And we are already seeing within the Act several areas of disputes between states and the federal government. And these are what we want to cure. For example, in the Electricity Act, we have a provision, actually, which was unfortunately passed by us, that says that laws that are made by states actually supersede the Constitution. Because it says there that any law passed by a state with regard to electricity cannot be overruled or whatever, which, of course, the Constitution is very clear. Any federal legislation that conflicts with a state legislation, the federal legislature must take precedence. So we want to cure such anomalies and disputes within the Electricity Act. Two, strengthen sectoral financing in the face of crippling sector debt crisis. As of today, the federal government is owing close to 4-point-something trillion. And this type of debt can only be cured if the act is amended so that the balance of responsibilities rests equally on the different sectors of our economy. 3, to criminalize critical electricity infrastructure vandalism. You will recall, Mr. President, that a short while, there was a time that the eastern line taking power all the way to the north was criminalized all the way, was brought down. And the north didn't have power for a very long time. Unfortunately, in our laws, there are very, very minimal penalties for such great vandalism, so that national resources are lost, and we find it very difficult. If you take them to court, they can only do to the extent that those penalties are there. 4, to foster industrial relations in the sector by balancing the labor rights in the context of essential services. Because what we are seeing today is that power ought to be an essential service. So nobody should come and say, I'm going on strike, and then if you are doing a surgery or something and then the power goes, then people are their lives are put in danger, and in so many other areas. 5, clarify the ongoing transitional arrangements in the transfer of intrastate electricity matters from the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission to the state governments, especially in matters having bearing on the operation of the national grid system. The generation of electricity was privatized. The distribution of electricity was also privatized. But the transmission, which takes power from all the GENCOs passing states to every other state, was not. And so, by giving states the power to generate, transmit, and we now have issues of who determines what, who takes tariffs within those areas. And we want to make sure that the coordination is properly done now to prevent future problems. And then clarify the framework for the Power Consumer Assistance Fund. The Electricity Act actually provides a Power Consumer Assistance Fund. It has not been operationalized. And so the federal government is still made to pay for everything that comes in and the bills that the GENCOs and the DISCOs give. Whereas the essence of that fund is so that the fund will be built up, so that if there is the necessity for any payments to be done, it will be done through that fund, and the federal government will no longer have that responsibility. And then to redefine and provide for the sector-wide framework for community engagement. Today, most of the places where the power plants are located, even where the distribution stations are located, communities living around there insist that they will not pay for power, and therefore that they should be taken care of. And there is no law that takes care of that type of engagement. And so we feel that this is the best time for us to address those issues, so that community youths, like they did in Trans-Amade a short while ago, will not go and shut down a power station just because they feel that their youths are not being employed. Because at that time, I had to go personally, and I asked the leader of the youth, how many of you are power engineers? Not one. So how will we employ you when you're not a power engineer? But there must be a way that we must create the enabling act so that we can, take care of this type of, and then to remove inherent ambiguities in a few provisions to allow for clarity, elegance, and all that, and then to fortify the existing institutional framework. So with these few things, the bill is encapsulated in 28 clauses. Fundamentally, clause 2, I think I don't need to continue with all that because I think I've
You said
sufficiently explained everything. So this bill should be seen as a part of the required legislative interventions which we normally do to support the reform measures needed to reposition the national electricity industry for optimal performance. The Electricity Act of 2023 is an extant law which of course is subject to periodic review. And it is now necessary, since we gave the states the power to start setting up their own, that we do not wait until multiple litigations stymie the hands of the Senate. So I wish to appeal to Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, to support this bill for second reading. I so move.
Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I think this amendment, I will term it, is revolutionary in nature, akin to the Petroleum Industry Act that this parliament amended with a view to revolutionizing the industry. And this bill equally, this amendment equally seeks to do that. One, against the backdrop of the fact that as a result of the amendment of the Constitution, bringing power from exclusive legislative list to the concurrent legislative list, states can now also legislate on matters concerning electricity. And this has brought conflict between laws that were enacted at the state level and laws that are existing at the national level. So essentially what this bill seeks to do is to also smoothen or bring it in conformity with the Constitution, the fact that laws made by the National Assembly are superior to laws that are made by the state houses of assembly. For example, as rightly alluded to in the course of his argument, there is a provision in the act that laws that are made by the state house of assembly are superior to the laws that are made by the National Assembly. This one is ultra vires the Constitution. So this bill essentially seeks to achieve that. And I'm also more interested with the fact that it also tends to criminalize vandalization of power infrastructure, because in my own region of the country, there is avalanche of vandalization of power infrastructure across the nooks and crannies of the Northeast, to the extent that there was a time my state was in blackout for about 6 months as a result of vandalization. So what this bill seeks to do is to give adequate punishment to those vandals that are engaged in vandalism of electricity infrastructure, so that it will serve as a deterrent to will-be offenders. So on this note, I support the second reading of this bill, and I urge my colleagues to support it and pass it with speed of light. Thank you.
Deputy Senate Leader.
Mr. President, Distinguished colleague, I'm Senator Ashiru, representing the good people of Kwara South, and the Vice Chairman of Committee on Power. Mr. President, this presentation is very apt, very precise, and a lot of work has been done on it. In particular, we want to emphasize that power in Nigeria had been a very, very critical impedance, both in economic development and social well-being of the people. Much had been done under EA of 2023, which today is in transition. We are still trying to make it work. There are a lot of issues that we need to put dot on and cross the T. One area which I want to seriously emphasize is the issue of crippling sectorial debt. There are a lot of debts running into trillions of naira being owed to the generating company, discos, and the transmission company. And in a very continuous way, we need to rejig the enabling bill to make sure that things are straightened forth. Like I said, much has been done by the committee. I would just want to recommend that this report should go for second reading so that we can go into other necessary procedures that we need to pass the bill.
Thank you very much. This seems to be a very popular bill. We don't need to waste time on that. But let me give the chance to Senator Alero to bear his mind.
Thank you, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues. I remain Muhammad Adam Alero, representing the good people of Kebbi Central. Mr. President, let me start by saying that the Committee on Power has done a very good job and detailed and comprehensive work on this bill. It addresses all the issues involved in the distribution generation and even transmission of power in Nigeria. In particular, Mr. President, I take special note on the issue of debt, which the federal government is shouldering on behalf of discos and junkos. Mr. President, we have privatized power, and yet trillions and trillions of naira are being spent, and it is done on behalf of junkos. And this, sorry, junkos and discos. And these junkos and discos, they were given these assets, believing that they have all it takes to ensure that they generate and distribute power. But federal government is bearing the cost. So the bill has really addressed this issue. And of particular importance is the issue of vandalization. Several power installations in this country have been vandalized by vandals. In particular, I know when Shororo was not working for over 3 months. Kayenji was not working for over 3 months also. The chief whip has mentioned that the Northeast was in blackout for over 6 months. Mr. President, it's high time we penalize the vandals. With steep penalties should be imposed on these vandals, if possible. we should give them capital punishment. Not only sentence them to jail term, but we should ensure that they are sent to the gallows. Maybe it will serve as a deterrence, as the chief whip has said. Mr. President, it is not only on power. Even here in Abuja, if you go around our streets, you will see a lot of people being removed by vandals. It is shameful. This is the national capital. And these bandits are caught and they are sent to the police station. The next day they are released. The Minister of Justice is doing his best. But this is not enough. We have to punish these vandals. If we don't do that, this will continue. These are national assets that need to be protected. If we don't protect the national assets, what are we doing here? So I thank the chairman of the Committee on Power. Even though he is our chairman, I participated in the deliberation at the public hearing and whatever, but I feel that I need to come out and support him to ensure that this bill scales through. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Solomon Lamilekon Yai, Chairman, Senate Committee on Appropriations.
Thank you, Mr.
Chairman, before you speak, after you speak. But Chairman, Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance, you have not complied with how to indicate your desire to speak. You spoke, you were talking, you were saying you want to speak, you want to speak. Just raise your hand and I will see you and I will call you. So you have not complied. You have not complied.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. President. Adeola Solomon Olamilekon, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, let me start by commending the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who about 2 weeks ago extended his economic reform to the power sector by signing into law the power for the states to generate their own electricity. It is on that premise that I will go by extending my own support for the mover of this bill, Senator Eyinaya Abaribe. Mr. President, looking at his submission, the first objective of this bill, enhance policy and regulatory coordination between the national and the subnational government to avoid legal disputes and inconsistency. Mr. President, I quite agree with him, because now that we now have in place that bill, that act empowering the states to generate their own electricity, definitely there can be some issues which we believe maybe as a result of this amendment that can be corrected. But Mr. President, looking at what we currently have as structure in the electricity sector, you will quite agree with me that over the years, so many people have taken advantage of this particular sector and the federal government being the sole generation and distribution of power in Nigeria. As we speak, Mr. President, the indebtedness of the federal government to these contractors, so-called the GENCOs and the DISCOs, is running into billions and millions of dollars. And that is why any attempt by the government to remove subsidy from this sector is always met with a huge cry by the general populace. And this has been as a result of the inconsistency we have experienced in this particular sector. Mr. President, there is a particular agency of the government, they call it MBET. MBET is the face of the government between the DISCOs and the GENCOs. Every budgetary years is billions of naira that have been voted by MBET, and that money is usually not enough to pay the DISCOs and the GENCOs. I've listened to my colleague talking about vandalization. Mr. President, you'll be shocked that this same contractor that installed will go back there, vandalize and take it away. year in, year out, the same job. The same job. And I strongly believe if this amendment tends to take care of all these issues that we have, it will go a long way in resolving this particular critical sector once and for all. You and I agree with me that if we can solve the crisis we have in the power sector, we will have succeeded in solving more than 50% of the challenges of this country. And I want to commend the current administration, who is doing so much. At least fairly, all of us can at least testify to the fact that we have power. Sometimes I stayed in my house for 3 days, I won't on my generator. Yes, they say there is band A, band B, band C. Whichever band it is, at least fairly, we're enjoying power. If this will further crystallize and solidify the sector, I think I'm in total support of the bill. What is my observation? I noticed that in the body of the bill, in the body of his submission, under the structure of the bill, he mentioned that the section 2 will amend the constitutional dispute and also refer to so many clauses. My fear is that this is a private sponsor bill and not from the executive. I hope that all these clauses that we have mentioned as part of his submission will work in tandem with the expectation of the executive, so that we can have a holistic amendment that will solve and resolve the issue in the power sector once and for all. Mr. President, I so submit.
Senator Medoki, you have one more minute because so many people have, but only that will round off because so many people have spoken. So you have 1 minute and a half. And you need to comply.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senate President and my distinguished colleagues. First of all, I need to thank the mover of this motion. It's timely, it's apt, and it's time to take this motion seriously. But my biggest concern, sir, is in this House that we have passed a motion asking the distribution companies not to increase rates. And that motion was disregarded, and they went ahead to increase the rates. So these are people that run to us when they have crisis, but when we deem it fit to tell them that for exigency reason, stay action on XYZ, they disregard our motions and do what they want. Secondly, sir, with regard to the debt we are talking about, sir, none of the generating companies has paid NMPC for the gas they have taken for the last 5 years. So if we deduct, this gas belongs to government. If we deduct the cost of gas from the GENCOs, from what they are owing federal government, there is no owing at all. I want us to be clear that if they do not pay for the gas that they are generating this electricity, then where would the government get the money to pay them for the service they have rendered? We need to take this thing holistically, and Nigerians should not be made to pay for incremental charges frequently. There were more than 5 rates within the space of 3 years by the distribution companies. What is happening? How is the income of Nigerians? I cannot imagine, as a senator, I cannot pay my power bill for 1 month. Then what am I working here for? What of the ordinary person? I think we need to take this thing totally, so that this rate of electricity should be generated in such a way that Nigerians will be able to enjoy these natural resources.
Thank you, thank you. Senator, oh, sorry. It will go like this. The minority leader will speak, then Buhari, then Yunus. Then that's all. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'll just be as brief as possible. I want to say that with all that has been said so far, and also considering that the mover of this bill gave us a very detailed explanation while presenting the bill,
and also in consideration that some of the concerns, like the one raised by Senator Adiola on the structure of the bill, is the reason why we have a public hearing, where some of these are going to be considered. Also, I observe that even all we are saying regarding this bill, we've had so many repetitions, several repetitions. I would like to move, Mr. President, that at this point, that we read the bill the second time and move to public hearing, where we can now fully consider. One thing I want to advise is that on the public hearing, where we will have time to debate, that distinguished senators should make out time to attend, so that we can do justice
thank
to
you
this
very
bill.
much. Senator
We
Boy, just
cannot,
1 minute.
on the second reading, discuss all the issues that are related to this bill. It means that we are not going to leave here today.
Senator Boy,
I so submit.
you agree with him? You agree with him? Just 1 minute. One minute.
Thank you, Mr. President. Buhari Abdul Fattah, or you're not. Mr. President, if you look at point 3, criminalize critical electricity infrastructure. One of the biggest problems we have in this country today is punitive measure. How can you install and you are paid for the job done, and then you now go back to carry it away? And when you are now caught, they take it to court and say they've given you a bail. If there is no real punitive measure like the mover of the bill said, we'll continue to go up and down. I remember in the 9th Assembly, Mr. President, when some individual went on the rail to remove the track and they were caught, Mr. President, it was not up to 3 weeks, they were released. And when you do this type of thing in other developed countries, you know the results of taking risks to want to kill or to want to murder other Nigerians. If you are a vandal and you are caught with this type of thing, there should be very strict punishment to serve as a deterrent to other people that, when I'm caught. Take for example, if you are going to Far East, they will not tell you that don't come with a drug, but if you are caught, they will cut your head or you'll be shot. So everybody is afraid to do that. So we need to have a very punitive measure.
Thank you. Senator Yunus, 1 minute.
I remain Yunus Akitunde Oyo Central and a member of the committee. Raising 2-3 issues. One, I observed that the issue of having regular supply of electricity, as mentioned by Senator Yai, does not only have to do with the issue at hand. As I discussed with the chairman, on his advice, he said I should raise it. That's why I raised up my hand to talk. That it should be more elaborate, and the Senate will as well make some proposal to the federal government. The electricity issue, Genco and Discos are not contractors. They are privately owned companies that are in operation and they are in business on their own. The main issue with electricity supply in Nigeria is when you license some people to generate electricity, you license some people to distribute electricity. And government, Mr. President, sir, Mr. President, and government is holding on to transmission. I believe that is one of the critical problems that electricity supplying is having. If you look at the infrastructure in transmission, they are old and they are not being useful again. I have been an apostle of the gospel that government money should not be used to buy transformers. And I'm still saying that on national telly. When you buy transformer and you give to communities, distribution companies will ask you to pay for installation. On the day they energize that transformer, it becomes their property. If there is need to liquidate that distribution companies, what comes after it? It becomes their property. It means we are using government money to
enrich some individuals that are operating as distribution companies. I still want the Senate to look deeply into that. Then, when we talk of subsidy, there is nowhere in the world where power is not being subsidized, even in UK. We can't say that because these schools...
Senator Yunus, your time is off.
I'm rounding up, Mr. President. I paused when you are busy, sir. I paused when you are busy. There is nowhere in the world where power is not being subsidized. And we cannot say because discos, some discos or some gencos have mismanaged government subsidy, government should pull out of subsidizing energy. Energy should be subsidized. It's a way of giving economic running. I so submit. And I support the second reading of the bill.
Those in favor that the bill be now ready to second time, please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Electricity Act 2023 to make provision for emerging issues in the Nigerian electric power sector, enhance policy and regulatory coordination, strengthen sectorial financing, protect critical electricity infrastructure, foster industrial relations in the sector, clarify transitional arrangements, redefine host community engagement by licensees operating in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, and for related matters 2025. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Electricity Act 2023 to make provision for emerging issues in the Nigerian electricity power sector, enhance policy and regulatory coordination, strengthen sectoral financing, protect critical electricity infrastructure, foster industrial relations in the sector, clarify transactional arrangements, redefine host community engagements by licensees operating in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, and for related matters 2025. Second reading taken. So a bill for an act to amend the Electricity Act 2023 to make provision for emerging issues in the Nigerian electric power sector, enhance policy and regulatory coordination, strengthen sectoral financing, protect critical electricity infrastructure, foster industrial relations in the sector, clarify transactional arrangements, redefine host community engagements by licensees operating in the Nigerian electricity supply industry, and for related matters 2025, second reading taken, and now committed to the Committee on Power to revert to the Senate in 6 weeks. Let me congratulate the chairman and members of the Committee on Power for this bill, and hope that by the time it goes through second reading, the issue or the issues that bother the Nigerian public will be addressed.
Without electricity, there's no way we can have industrial growth in the country. And so everybody is looking forward to the transformation of this sector. So it's on that note that I commend distinguished Senator Baribe. And let me use this opportunity to also mention the fact that I was impressed when you were contributing to the discussion on the demise of distinguished Senator Khalid. And you pointed out your personal contribution during his illness. So for this, the Senate appreciates you. But you made a profound statement that out there, Nigerians think that senators, a lot of money is spent on National Assembly, that once you step out of the National Assembly, you are looking for money to even treat yourself, which shows the fallacy of all the insinuations and innuendos thrown at the legislators. So I think it was an eye-opener for a lot of people, because some people think that we come here to make money. They don't know that we come here to sacrifice for the growth of the nation so we can leave a better country for future generations. Thank you for that elucidation. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day is the second reading of the Federal Polytechnics Act Amendment Bill 2025 SV 742. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 12th March 2025. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Nwemboin Onyeka Peter to move the motion for the bill to be read a second time.
Distinguished Senator Nwemboin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Senator Peter Onyeka Nwemboin with the golden crown of Ebonyi Senatorial Zone of Ebonyi State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on this very important bill seeking for the establishment of Federal Polytechnic for Skills and Vocational Studies to be sited in Mbeke, Isheke, Ebonyi local government area of Ebonyi State. This bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, the 12th day of March 2025. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it goes without saying that the future of every child is dependent on the kind of education the child is given. It is also unarguable that our educational curriculum today remains heavily loaded with theories than skills that solve contemporary society problems. Today also, our universities produce thousands of graduates annually with little or no practical skills required by today's labor market. This is what this bill seems to cure. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is not just about bricks and mortars. It is about building the future of our children, equipping our youth with skills, confidence, and tools to drive the 21st century economy. Distinguished colleagues, my dear President, it is against this backdrop that I am proposing for the establishment of Federal Polytechnic for Skills and Vocational Studies to be sited in Mbeke, Isheke, Ebonyi local government area of Ebonyi State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill, if passed into law, will provide more ample opportunities for every Nigerian child to acquire essential and relevant skills that will stand him firm to compete in the modern world. In view of the foregoing, Mr. President, and without much ado, I urge you all to support this bill to safeguard the future of Nigerian youth. Thank you, and may God bless Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Distinguished Senator Oju Sakalo.
Thank you, Mr. President. in supporting this bill for Senator Nweboyi. I know that everybody have been looking for institutions of letter writing and institutions of grammar speaking. But the very important thing on this institution that is a vocational and skill institution, which our people have lost. Now, in Nigeria, if you want to call good skill workers, they have to come across the border. They are going to come from Cotonou or Benin Republic or Cote d'Ivoire. So I support this bill that the Federal Polytechnic of Skill and Vocational Studies should be established in Ebonyi State, not only for benefit of people of Ebonyi State, but for people of Cross River who are very close to the place, people of Enugu State who are also very close, and Benue and Abia, and even Akwa Ibom, where the Senate President come from. It will rub on you, Mr. President. So I call on you to expedite this bill for the benefit of your state. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Dismissed Senator Ashiru.
Mr. President, I'm Senator Ashiru, the Deputy Leader of the Senate, by your grace. Mr. President, Ebonyi State, as far as we are concerned in Nigeria today, is a very, very important state. In particular, Mr. President, the North Senatorial District of Ebonyi State, I remember and I can recollect that in the last election, they contributed up to 75% of the votes to our great president, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. This senatorial district is very close to the people of Benue State, Cross River State, Enugu State, and I have the feeling that for a very long time, they have not benefited appropriately from any federal government institution. This institution being proposed is not only germane to development of the people, but it is germane to taking the people of Nigeria to the next century. I will appeal that we expedite the passage of this bill so that we can put a smile on the people of the North Senatorial of Ebonyi State. Thank you, Mr. President.
The senior Senator Ositango.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am Ositango, representing Enugu West. Mr. President, the importance of skills and vocational training, skill acquisition, cannot be overemphasized. The level of unemployment that we have in this country today has gotten a worrisome stage that we have to look for a way to get our youths engaged and a way to get our youths involved in serious activities that will help to reduce some vices that are caused by unemployment. I support this bill wholeheartedly because of the impact it's going to have in the society. And when the minority leader was speaking about the location of Ebonyi North, I didn't know that he has full knowledge of Ebonyi State. Because this particular location where this bill is, the establishment of this training center is proposed, will actually not just serve the people of Ebonyi North, but also be important to people of Benue and Enugu State. And it's also important to say that in Ebonyi State, all the institutions of higher learning that are in Ebonyi State are all in Central and South. And there's none in Ebonyi North. So it is also just for equitable distribution of learning centers that this institution is established.
Mr. President, I so support wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Is there anybody who is opposed to this bill being read a second time? Nobody. So, Clerk of the Senate. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be done read a second time, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate may wish to take the second reading of the bill.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act to establish the Federal Polytechnic of Skill and Vocational Studies, Mbeke Isheke, Ebonyi State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act to establish the Federal Polytechnic of Skills and Vocational Studies, Mbeke Isheke, Ebonyi State, and for related matters 2025, second reading taken. I'm now referred to the Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TELFON to revert to the Senate in 6 weeks. Let me use this opportunity to thank distinguished Senator Nwebwe for your love for education, because this will further open doors to our children to be well educated, thereby closing more doors to prisons. And also, I want to also commend in advance President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for establishing so many universities. The last one that was proposed here, this distinguished Senator Alero has said that it was passed in the 9th Senate, but it was not signed into an act of parliament. So just to assure you that this president is very, very interested in ensuring that education is used as a tool, not just to educate the youth, but also as a tool to fight insecurity in the country. So I look forward to this going through the public hearing and reverting to this chamber for further legislative action. Thank you. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, the fourth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of report of Committee of Agricultural Colleges and Institutions on the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act, Amendment Bill 2025, SB 39, 105, 144, 464, 444, 734, and 596. Distinguished senators will recall that these bills were referred to the committee on Wednesday, 25th June 2025, Tuesday, 28th May 2025, Wednesday, 5th March 2025, and Tuesday, 11th March 2025, respectively. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Lalong on behalf of Senator Ali Sarafaddin Abiodun, Chairman of the committee, to move the motion for presentation. I so move.
Distinguished Senator Sarafaddin Abiodun.
On behalf, Mr. President. Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. President,
you are representing Sarafaddin?
Yes, yes, okay. Mr. President.
Okay, so just proceed to lay the
okay. I rise to move
the motion and
I rise to move the motion.
Yes.
To allow me proceed to lay the report for Mr. President.
So you so move.
I so move.
Okay, distinguished Senator Agadaga.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Benson Agadaga, representing Bayelsa East Central District in Bayelsa State, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague, distinguished Senator Lalong, to present the report of his committee. I so second. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that this report be laid before this August Assembly say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So please proceed to lay the report. Proceed to give us a summary of the report.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Distinguished senators, once again, Simon Lalong representing the people of Plateau South constituency. Mr. President, this is a report that was supposed to be presented by distinguished Senator Sarafaddin. We are aware that Sarafaddin is involved right now on the latest thing happening in Ibadan. So as the immediate past chairman of this committee and also a member of the committee, I'm seized with the facts there. The preamble is already very clear, Mr. President. The methodology, as usual, carefully observed, and I will go to the observations and the conclusions. Consequent upon the markup session by the committee on the bill, the following observations and findings were made. That the intent of the bill to establish Federal College of Agriculture in a fund fashion and AFON is a welcome development, especially as the colleges will boost agricultural development in the country. That the bill conforms to normative drafting standards and that the establishment of the colleges will serve as incentive to encourage agricultural practices in the respective area. Before I go into the recommendation, there are just corrections, minor corrections there. And those minor corrections are especially on page 2, where there is reference to Isoko. Instead of Isoko, it is Emede. And then on page 3.
No, spell. Instead of Isoko, it's
Emede is
spell.
EMEDE.
Okay, proceed.
Isoko South Local Government. Yes, Mr. President. And so, to the recommendations. The committee, having considered the proposed bills and taking into account their relevance to the development of this country, hereby recommends that the Senate do consider and pass the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bill 2025 SBS 39/105/144/464 and 734 and the Federal Universities of Agriculture Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 596. I so move, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Igbisdagba.
Mr. President of the Senate, my most distinguished colleagues, I support the motion as moved by my colleague. My name is Senator Jide Ipinchagba, ably represent the good people of Ondo non-senatorial district. I so move.
Colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support of the motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I wish to move that we go into.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion that the Senate resolve into committee for all to consider the report.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, motion seconded as moved. Thank you.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we revert to committee of the whole to continue further proceedings on this report. Those in support of the motion as moved and seconded say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Amendment Bills, SB 39, 105, 144, 464, and 734. Long title on page 1. Those in support that this form part of the bills say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Number of clauses 2 and 3. Those in support that these two clauses form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The short title on page 1. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum on page 1 also. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Federal Universities of Agriculture Act Amendment Bill 2025 SB 596. Long title on page 1. Those in support that long title on page 1 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in support that clauses 2 and 3 form part of the bill say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. The short title on page 3. Short title on page 1. Those in support that the short title form part of the bill say aye. Then those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum on page 1. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. This AC members, ADC members coming back from their meeting, they won't allow us to continue with what we are doing. Leader of the Senate, ignore them and go move on with the business of the day. They are making so much noise. They are from ADC. They just came back from their meeting. Move that way. Refer to committee of the refer to plenary.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate reverse to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move.
Minority leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Senate leader.
Distinguished colleagues, those in support of the motion and move and second, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we revert to plenary to report progress. Senator Ninki, welcome. Thank God you're not coming from the other side. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions on the Agricultural Research Council Act Amendment Bills 2025 and approved as follows. Long titles as recommended. Clauses 1 and 2 as recommended. Short title clause 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? The Senate also in the Committee of the Whole further considered the report of the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions on the Federal Universities of Agriculture Amendment Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 and 2 as recommended. Short title on clause 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the bills be now read for the third time. I so move.
The minority leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second that the bills be now read the third time.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, act to establish the Federal College of Fishery and Marine Technology, Taori, Kebbi State, and for related matters 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Act to establish the Federal College of Fishery and Aquatic Science in Mede, Isoko Delta State, and for related matters. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, IFOM, Alaye, Ekiti State, and for related matters, third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, FASU, Edo State, and for related matters, 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture, Idumeje, Delta State, and for other related matters, 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, I bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigerian Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Cooperative College AFO, Kwara State, and for related matters, 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Agriculture Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture, Darazo, Bauchi State, and for related matters, 2025. Third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Fisheries and Marine Technology, Tauri, Kebbi State, and for other related matters, 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to establish the Federal College of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences, Isoko, Delta State, Umede as amended. Umede as amended. Umede. Umede. Huh? Imede. Imede. Imede in Isoko. Joel, is Imede in Isoko? Okay. I don't want the people of Isoko to think that we hijacked the bill in the air. So I'll take it again. A bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to establish the Federal College of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences, Imede, Isoko, Delta State, and for other related matters, 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, Yvonne, Alaye, Ekiti State, and for other related matters, 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture and Tropical Studies, AFASU, in Edo State, and for other related matters, 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Agriculture, Idumuje, in Delta State, and for other related matters, 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal Cooperative College, Afon, Kwara State, and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to amend the Federal Universities of Agriculture Act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture, Darazo, Bauchi State, and for other related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. So, distinguished colleagues, let me on behalf of the Senate, let me congratulate the Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions for painstakingly going through all these bills and finally going through the public hearings and now bringing them to fruition. I pray that when these bills are eventually assented to by Mr. President, more doors to tertiary education will be open to our children, thereby reducing insecurity and increasing food production in the country. No country can boast of greatness unless such a country can feed itself. So I thank the chairman and members of this committee for a job well done, and I thank my distinguished colleagues for their contributions that led to this fruition. I thank you all. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Senator Mustafa Saliu, take your seat. Senator Ned Nwonko. Senator Munir Ned Nwonko, take your seat.
Senator Jim Kuta.
Senator Jim Kuta from Taraba State, take your seat.
Are you sure it's from Taraba State?
Elders of the Senate.
Elders of the Senate, take your seat. Former deputy leader, I think, former.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the 5th to 7th orders of the day are House bills for concurrence as listed on the order paper. Mr. President, for the simple nature of the bills and inter-chamber reciprocity, I will present a lead debate on the bills.
Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, lead debate on bills for concurrence from the House of Representatives. Mr. President, permit me to lead the debate on these important bills from the House of Representatives for concurrence of the Senate. 1. The Chartered Institute of Auctioneers of Nigeria Bill 2025 HB 1046 was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Tuesday, 24th October 2025. This bill seeks to provide for the establishment of Chartered Institute of Auctioneers, to provide for the control of its membership, and to promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria. 2. Broadcasting Practitioners Bill 2025 HB 247 was read for the first time on Thursday, 16th May 2024. This bill seeks for Society of Nigeria Broadcasters Act to regulate the profession and practice of broadcasting in Nigeria. Set the required minimum academic qualification and ethical standard for broadcasters, broadcast journalists, or broadcasting practitioners, and for other purposes connected therewith. 3. Federal College of Health Technology, Benin Sheikh, Borno State, Establishment Bill 2025 HB 234 was read for the first time on Wednesday, 27th November 2024. This bill seeks to establish the Federal College of Health Technology, Benin Sheikh, Borno State, to ensure access to education in health technology, to provide full-time courses of teaching, instruction, and training in health technology, and also make provision for the appointment of a provost and the officials of the college to carry out the administration of the college. Mr. President, my respected colleagues, these bills are straightforward and have gone through the necessary legislative process in the House of Representatives. I therefore urge you all to support the second reading of these bills as we refer them to the Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration. I thank you.
The Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to support the consideration of the following of the three bills for concurrence, and I also support that we revert to Committee of the Whole to consider the bills clause by clause. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody that would like to make a comment on this? No. So in the absence of it, we move to Committee of the Whole for clause by clause consideration.
Already moved that. Already done.
He's insisting that it ought to be second reading. So you may wish to approach the chair. Leader of the Senate, approach the chair. Okay. Your request is for second reading,
Mr.
right?
President, yes, my request is for second
Not for
reading of
clause
the
by
bill.
clause.
That's my request. That's the essence of my lead debate, in support of my request for second reading.
So you were seconding clause by clause consideration. Huh?
Well, Mr. President, that will come after the second reading of the bill.
But that's why I'm a minority leader. So you may wish to second his motion that we go with these bills be read for the second time.
And then I'll come
Then
back
after
with the
that, he
motion
will come back to ask for clause by clause consideration.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I already rose before and I'm rising again to support for interchamber reciprocity the second reading of the three bills presented for concurrence.
Thank you.
I so second.
Yes, distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that these three bills for concurrence be read a second time. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Auctioneers to provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria and for related matters. HB 1046, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to provide for the coordinating and conduct of the practice of broadcasting profession in Nigeria and for related matters. HB 247, second reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Health Technology, Beni Sheikh, Kaga Local Government, Borno State, and for related matters. HB 234, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Auctioneers to provide for the control of its membership, to promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria, and for related matters, 2025, second reading taken. This bill is now referred to the Committee of the Whole for further legislative action. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the coordinating and conduct of the practice of broadcasting profession in Nigeria and for related matters 2025, HB 247, second reading taken. This bill is now referred to the Committee of the Whole for further consideration. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Health Technology, Beni Sheikh, Kaga Local Government Area of Borno State, and for related matters 2025, HB 234, second reading taken. This bill is also referred to the Committee of the Whole for further legislative action. So let me thank the Senate leader and all those who have made contributions to these bills sent to us for concurrence, and now invite the Senate leader to move the necessary motion for further proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the Senate now resolve to Committee of the Whole for further consideration of these bills. I so move.
Thank you, Mr. President and my colleagues. I rise to second the motion that the Senate do resolve to Committee of the Whole for clause-by-clause consideration of the bill. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, pursuant to Order 78.3, the Senate leader has moved and it's been seconded by the minority leader that we now refer these bills to the Committee of the Whole and indeed move to Committee of the Whole for further consideration of these bills. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Chartered Institute of Auctioneers of Nigeria Bill 2025 HB 1046. Those in favor that the long title on page 1 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 2 to 5. Those in support that clauses 2 to 5 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 6 to 10. Those in support that clauses 6 to 10 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 10 to 15. Those in support that clauses 10 to 15 as enshrined herein form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 16 to 20. Those in favor that clauses 16 to 20 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 21 to 24. Those in favor that clauses 21 to 24 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. In specific terms, the interpretation clause is on page 16 of, and that is clause 22, already taken. Those in favor of the interpretation clause on page 16 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The schedules are found on pages 16 to 22. Schedules 1 to 3. Those in favor of the schedules 1 to 3 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum is embedded on page 24. Those in support of the explanatory memorandum as enshrined in page 24 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Broadcasting Practitioners Bill 2025 HB 247. The long title is on page 1. Those in support that the long title on page 1 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 2 to 5. Those in support that clauses 2 to 5 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 6 to 10. Those in support that clauses 6 to 10 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 16. Those in favor that clauses 11 to 16 form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 17 to 23. Those in support that clauses 17 to 23 form part of this bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. In specific terms, clause interpretation clause, which is on page 15, clause 24. Those in support that this interpretation clause 23, page 14. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The short title on page 15 referred to as clause 24. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Schedules 1 to 3 on pages 15 to 19. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum on page 23. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Federal College of Health Technology, Benny Sheikh, Borno State Establishment Bill 2025, HB 234. Long title on page 1. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Interpretation clause 24, which is on page 12. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. The short title on page 25, page 13, which is clause 25. Those in support that it should form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. The schedule, one schedule on page 13. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Explanatory memorandum on page 14. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 2 to 10. Those in support that clauses 2 to 10 form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 11 to 20. Those in support that clauses 11 to 20 form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clauses 21 to 24. Those in support that this form part of the bill say aye, those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, very distinguished colleagues, I rise to move that the Senate reverse to plenary to enable the chairman report progress. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, sitting as chair, motion seconded as moved.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that we revert to plenary for the chair to report progress, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole consider the Chartered Institute of Auctioneers of Nigeria Bill 2025 and approve as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 21 as recommended. Interpretation clause 20 on clause 22 as recommended. Short title on clause 23 as recommended. 23 as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate in the Committee of the Whole considered the Broadcasting Practitioners Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 22 as recommended. Clause 23, which is the interpretation clause as recommended. Clause 24, which is the short title as recommended. Schedules 1 to 3 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Distinguished colleagues, the Senate further in the committee of the whole considered the Federal College of Health Technology, Benishek, Borno State Establishment Bill 2025 and approved as follows. Long title as recommended. Number of clauses 1 to 23 as recommended. Specifically, interpretation clause 24 as recommended. Short title clause 25 as recommended. Schedule 1 as recommended. Explanatory memorandum as recommended. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the committee of the whole? Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. I rise to move that the bills be now read the third time. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second that the bills be now read the third time. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that these bills be now read a third time. Support of the motion has moved and seconded. Say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I therefore asked to establish Chartered Institute of Auctioneers to provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria and for related matters 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I therefore asked to provide for the coordinating and conduct of the practice of broadcasting profession in Nigeria and for related matters 2025. Third reading. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I therefore asked to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Health Technology, Benishek, Kadga Local Government, Borno State, and for related matters 2025. Third reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Auctioneers to provide for the control of its membership and promote the practice of auctioneers in Nigeria and for related matters 2025. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the coordinating and conduct of the practice of broadcasting profession in Nigeria and for related matters 2025, HB 247. Third reading taken and passed. Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Health Technology, Benishek, Kagalugu Government Area of Borno State, and for related matters 2025, HB 234. Third reading taken and passed. Let me thank the members of the House of Representatives for the work done on these bills, and also thank our distinguished brothers for their contributions and their painstaking scrutiny of these bills before passage. We look forward to them being, of course, signed into Act of Parliament by Mr. President. Again, we have an educational institute, Federal College of Health Technology. We have the regulatory agencies, such as the Chartered Institute of Auctioneers. We hope that this will help to bring order and then, of course, not just good governance, but open more doors to education, thereby closing more doors of prisons, and also help us to fight insecurity and then promote the welfare of our citizens and at the same time increase the prosperity of Nigeria as a whole. Congratulations to all. Leader of the Senate.
Next order. Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, it has been
You may wish to invite Senator Abiru.
very distinguished colleagues, it has been a day well spent, but then we have the last order of the day, which is a motion. Thank you. Yes. The eighth and last order of the day is a motion standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Abiru Mikael Adetokunbo, the Baba Adini of Ikorodu Kingdom, on the investigative hearing into the operations of Ponzi schemes in Nigeria, with particular reference to the recent crypto bullion exchange incident. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Abiru Mikael Adetokunbo to move the motion.
Distinguished Senator Adetokunbo Mukail Abiru, Baba Adini of Ikorodu land, you may wish to rise and move this all-important motion.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. My name is Mukahil Adetokunbo Abiru, and I represent Lagos East. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, I rise to move the motion on investigative hearing into the operations of Ponzi schemes in Nigeria, with particular reference to the recent crypto bullion exchange (CBEX) incident. This motion is co-sponsored by my good self and Senator Osita Izunazo. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, aware that the economic well-being and financial security of Nigerian citizens are essential pillars of national stability and growth, and that it is the duty of government to protect the populace from exploitative, predatory, and fraudulent financial practices and schemes that threaten their livelihoods. Deeply concerned about the rapid proliferation and alarming rise of unregulated and fraudulent investment schemes, commonly known as Ponzi or pyramid schemes, such as MMM Nigeria in 2016, MBA Forex in 2020, to mention a few, which have repeatedly defrauded millions of Nigerians, causing severe financial hardship and, in some cases, driving victims to depression, family breakdowns, and even suicide. Note in particular the recent case of crypto bullion exchange (CBEX), a digital investment platform which lured millions of Nigerians with the promise of outrageous returns before suddenly collapsing and resulting in investors losing over 1.3 trillion and making it one of the most devastating financial scams in the country's history. Further notes that the CBEX incident is not an isolated case, but part of an existing and growing pattern of unregulated and fraudulent schemes that leverages technology, social media to deceive the public, and often using tactics such as referral commissions, celebrity endorsements, and fake testimonials to build credibility and drive recruitment. And shocked that despite the scale of operations and visibility of CBEX, it operated for an extended period without facing sanctions by either the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, the CBN, the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, and also EFCC. Alarmed that the lack of coordinated oversight, real-time monitoring, and strict enforcement by relevant agencies has created an enabling environment for such schemes to flourish, eroding public trust in legitimate financial institutions and posing a systemic risk to the economy. Recognizes that the growing sophistication of such fraudulent platforms, combined with low levels of financial literacy and a lack of access to formal investment opportunities, makes the Nigerian population increasingly vulnerable to such schemes. Conscious that Section 8, Sub 1A and B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, empowers the National Assembly to conduct investigations into any matter, and further conscious that these constitutional powers empower the Senate to investigate the failure of regulatory agencies to monitor and prevent the CBEX fraud, as well as to propose necessary legislative and administrative reforms to forestall future occurrences, and alarmed at the increasing sophistication of Ponzi scheme operators and the devastating consequences of their actions, and the need for urgent public education to prevent further exploitation and of unsuspecting citizens. Mindful of the urgent need to protect Nigerian citizens, especially vulnerable groups, from financial predators, by investigating the lapses that allowed CBEX and similar platforms to thrive unchecked, and to recommend robust mechanisms for monitoring, prevention, and prosecution. And resolve to mandate the Joint Senate Committee on Capital Market and Institutions, Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, and ICT and Cybercrime to conduct a comprehensive investigative hearing, including public hearing on the operations of Ponzi schemes in Nigeria, and report back in 4 weeks. Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues, I so move. Thank you, Mr. President and my distinguished colleagues.
Chief Whip.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Mr. President, this motion is apt and germane, especially against the background of the fact that the operations of these Ponzi schemes has become very, very alarming and goes to the root of our socio-economic well-being, because they take advantage of vulnerable and gullible Nigerians to cash in on that and perpetrate all these crimes that defraud Nigerians of their hard-earned money, and sending some to their early graves. As a parliament that is responsible and responsive to the yearnings and aspirations of the people, that jealously guards and protects the interests of the people, it behoves on us to look at whatever loopholes or lacuna in the existing laws that these Ponzi schemes exploit with a view to perpetrating these illegalities. The laws should not only be amended, but should be strengthened in order to take care of these Ponzi schemes and nip it in the bud. Against this background, I support the prayer embedded in this motion. Thank you.
I think we should speak for 1 minute because I can see several people wanting to speak. Senator Sadiq Umar.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North, and we who are. Mr. President, I rise to support this motion because of how important is it to this country. We all know how much people lose money, lose their head, lose their mind, and in fact, some people lost their lives because of such Ponzi acts. Now, my concern is our job as legislators is to protect the people that sent us here to represent them. And we do this by making laws, public investigation, and so on. And let me say that citizens trust their country and their leaders. That's why, for example, any one of us here, you can just move into a supermarket, you see a drink, corked, imported anywhere, you don't even know what is inside, whether it's bacteria, poison, but you buy and pick and drink freely. Why? You trust that you have a government that will protect you with our agencies and regulators. We have to continually monitor any financial scheme to protect citizens by holding the NFIU, for example, CBN is there, EFCC, or SEC, all these agencies, that's their job. They must not allow this to always sleep. And since this has been sleeping, we, the representative of the people, we have to hold them accountable and make sure that this does not sleep again. Thank you very much, Mr.
Senator Lami Lekonde, Senator Alero, and then former leader, Senator Abdeningi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, very distinguished colleague. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, let me thank the mover of this motion. I could vividly recollect that there was an attempt last week for us to discuss this particular item. But here are we today discussing about a motion which have serious adverse effects on the people of Nigeria. Mr. President, yes, this is not the first time that issues like this is happening. And I know that there was an attempt by the last administration while amending the Finance Act in 2022 to ensure that all online transactions that they pay some taxes on the online transaction. We made this several attempts, and that was when Nigeria had issues with Facebook, with other online businesses, just in an attempt to ensure that we can regulate their activities as far as Nigeria is concerned. Mr. President, Ponzi or whatever this is called is just one out of the numerous online payments that we have. Many of our Gen Z of this world no longer go to the banks. They patronize all these online payment system. A lot of them. Ponzi is just one out of the numerous online payments, and hiding under the language, the fintech, that you go through the fintech, that you pay through the fintech and you make this a pause. They call it pause. You just drop money there, the following money you get the money somewhere else. And they have taken advantage of us as a nation because the regulation is not there. Because I wondered how this monumental fraud will happen to Nigeria when we have a regulator, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in place. And that was why I'm supporting this investigative hearing, because we are only going to be looking at Ponzi, but we have so many other online payment platforms that is not mentioned. So we want to ask Central Bank, what are the regulations that you have put in place to protect Nigerians against all these kind of transactions? No other countries of the world you can embark on this kind of item of transaction without necessary regulation in place. We need to find out from the Central Bank of Nigeria. We need to. Aside punishing or going after Ponzi, which is one out of the numerous, you can testify that this is not the first or second or third time. And we can't continue in this trend. So whatever is embedded or cover under this body of this motion is just a way to draw the attention of this Nigerian Senate that Nigeria can no longer continue to be defrauded by all these online payment, online platforms. So, Mr. President, I'm in total support of this motion, that we carry out this investigative hearing so that we can address this matter once and for all. And also, the cyber security, all this IT, our information technology, we need to find out, what are they doing? What are they doing? Are we saying Nigeria is that porous at all levels? To the extent that Nigeria has lost millions and billions in naira, in dollars, trillions. So, Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, this is one motion we should all support, and we should all be interested in investigative hearing. We need to all be there to let's speak to the truth and address these issues once and for all. Mr. President, this will also submit.
Thank you. Actually, it's very straightforward, but I would like to hear from maybe two more people. Distinguished Senator Alero, in case you have personal experience, if you have been doing. You have? Yes, it happens. Is it with the last one they call MMM?
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. In addition to whatever has been said, I want to add that Nigerians that patronize these Ponzi schemes are also at fault, because they look at tempting offers that promise quick returns, and they easily fall into prey. So it falls on us, we the legislators, to also sensitize our people not to patronize these Ponzi schemes. And Mr. President, the failure of regulatory agencies is very evident. The CBN, the Security and Exchange Commission, the EFCC, and other regulators are also at fault, because they fail to monitor whatever these people are doing. And that's why millions of Nigerians have been defrauded. As said in the motion, some have even committed suicide. We cannot afford to continue to watch this kind of thing happening in our economy without taking stringent measures to stop them. Mr. President, I support fully the conduct of public hearing. And what has been mentioned, $847 million, is a small amount. And this is why even foreign investment is eluding this country. If Nigerians are being duped close to about 1 billion, why should a foreigner come and invest? We have to do whatever we can to sanitize the economy by getting rid of these fraudsters. If they exist, honestly speaking, it will affect foreign direct investment. So I support fully the conduct of public hearing, and all of us should participate in that public hearing. And we should mark enough publicity and sensitize Nigerians that they should come forward and air their views on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Abdul Nengi.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this unique recognition. My name is Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central of Bauchi State. Mr. President, I do not think we have commended the sponsor of this motion enough. This is an extraordinary motion that deals with an extraordinary situation that demands an extraordinary reaction. Mr. President, permit me to quote Chapter 2 of our Constitution, especially Section 13. And by the leave of the President of the Senate, may I read, it shall be the duty and responsibility of all organs of government, of all authorities and persons exercising legislative, executive, or judicial powers to conform to, observe, and apply the provision of this Constitution. And the Constitution goes further in Section 14, 3 of B. The security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Mr. President, the motion has elucidated that even though the Act of the National Assembly has given sweeping powers to the Security and Exchange Commissions, to the Central Bank of Nigeria, to the Nigerian Financial Intelligence, and to the Economic and Financial Crimes, yet these things just take place in Nigeria as if these laws are not in place. These laws are in place. But over the years, this Ponzi scheme has not happened just this year. It has been happening for over 20 years, even under our democratic experiment. And for me, personally, for a motion of this nature to be brought to the floor of the Senate, I think the mover and both the Senate for placing it for debate must be commended. Even if outside people will not commend us, we must commend ourselves, because what this motion shows is that the people are in our minds. Billions of naira has been spent. Millions of dollars have been spent on this Ponzi scheme, and yet going down the drain. And you ask questions, what is happening? Who are responsible for these Ponzi schemes? Why are they doing this Ponzi scheme and yet no arrest, no sanction? So all these things boils down to us as a people. However, the mover of the nation has said, conscious that Section 80, Mr. President, has given the National Assembly the powers to make laws, the conduct of affairs of any person, the catchwords are any person, any authority, any ministry or government department charged or intended to be charged with the duty of or responsibility for executing or administrating laws enacted by the National Assembly. So Section 80 of the Constitution has given us these powers. But like I said, that's why I keep on commending the Senator. These powers are in place. But for a very long time, we have not been able to utilize these powers, particularly as it affects this Ponzi scheme. Rural dwellers, our people who make ends meet in a very difficult manner, immediately they see this Ponzi scheme, they get involved. My constituents, over the years, sir, you give them 10,000, 20,000, instead of actually investing. But when they see a Ponzi scheme that promises them 10,000 plus 10,000 after 1 week, they take this money and place it there. You give them 100,000. It is this money, quick money, that has been the central minds of an average Nigerian. And the law is in place. And therefore, once this Senate is able to nip this on the bud, call these security agencies to questions, direct them, and making sure that if this thing continues to happen, then the Parliament has its own option. And I think this particular motion is commendable and is apt, is timely. And I'm sure the Senate President, from his own vintage of position, should be able to commend the movers, the sponsor of these bills, and of course, some of us senators who have sat to discuss this. And we were looking forward to discussing this since last week. And time was running out, and we we advise Baba Adini, the Abiru, Senator Abiru, to drop it onto a much better time. I do not think, in my opinion, finally, sir, that this is a matter that we must limit discussion on. It is a very fundamental matter that concerns Nigerians all across. So it is a matter that is very, very important. And we must commend ourselves for listening to it and debating it. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, we did not, the Senate leader, you didn't move any application for extension of time. Did you?
I did not, sir, because we're on the last order.
Okay, because I just wanted I wanted to be guided. So in reality, we are satisfied that there is nobody opposed to this motion. Nobody. I just want to say that from my personal experience, just like Senator Alero's experience, before the collapse of the financial system in 1991, maybe some of our senators were not born then. Please ask to find out from Senator Asukwa when he was born. So there was the one they used to call Omana in Port Harcourt. And when eventually the security agencies woke up, if you carry 50,000 to them, in 1 week they will give you another 50,000, and then they will tell you, they will encourage you to put it back. So you don't have 100,000, and they will give you a paper. In another week, you go back, you now have 200,000. They will tell you to put it back. But if you insist, they will collect from A and give to B, and collect from B and give to C, and then money will now return. And then they will give you additional interest. So eventually, when the security services swapped on them, they found out that they didn't even know how to store the money. Most of the notes were eaten by rats because they just hired warehouses and packed the money. And they were spending on themselves, buying properties. When you come to look for your money, they go to the warehouse and draw Ghana must go. And sometimes half of the money would have decayed and all that. It was such a terrible nightmare. And many Nigerians committed suicide when they lost their monies. So the collapse of that financial system should have taught us a lesson. But no. In this time now, we are still seeing students carrying their pocket monies, collecting monies from their parents for medicals, and going to dump in all sorts of Ponzi schemes. And then you see, at a go, a group will make away with 1.8 trillion from the country, and no action seems to be taken. We would like to see them brought to book. And we need to, like Senator Arero said, we need to educate our constituents. So part of my recommendation with this beautiful motion will be that we should also organize a major public outing, even if we have to do it in different zones of the country, to enable us educate our populace and educate our constituents so that we can avoid unnecessary suicide and avoid also unnecessary scamming of the Nigerian citizens, whilst at the same time alerting the security agencies and the Central Bank of Nigeria to their responsibilities to protect the welfare and the lives and security of all our citizens, as enshrined in Section 14, subsection B of the Nigerian Constitution. So I want to thank all of you for your contributions and thank Baba Adini and his colleague for bringing this forward to the fore. And like I said, this is extremely important. It concerns all. If it does not concern you, it will concern your relation. So if you are not affected, you will be infected. Honestly, it concerns the entirety of the country, and particularly those who are not very literate. Distinguished colleagues, we can look at the prayers. The only prayer we have is to mandate the joint committees on capital markets, banking, insurance, and security and other financial institutions, anti-corruption and financial crimes, ICT and cyber security, and cybercrime actually. Cyber, SARS, you prefer security to crime?
Insecurities are not crime.
There's no problem. ICT and cyber security to conduct a comprehensive investigative hearing, including public hearings. Like I said, you don't have to do it in one location. On the operations of Ponzi schemes in Nigeria, educating the Nigerian public, educating the investing public, and then to report back to this Senate in 4 weeks. Those in support of the prayer as amended say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Accordingly, the Senate refers this prayer as amended to the joint committees on banking, insurance and other financial institutions, capital markets, anti-corruption and financial crimes, ICT and cyber security to undertake extensive investigation, extensive education of the Nigerian public and refer to this August Assembly in 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues. Having concluded the proceedings on the order paper for today, I rise to move that the Senate be now adjourned till tomorrow, Thursday, the 10th day of July 2024 at 11 a.m. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the Leader of the Senate. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support of the adjournment to Thursday, 10th day of July 2025, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And the lead committee for the investigative hearing on the Ponzi scheme will be the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and other financial institutions. The Senate is hereby adjourned to Thursday, 10th day of July, 2025.